In this session, I'll be speaking to strategies of the trade union movement for challenging the meaning and scope of the sustainable development goals. As I said in my contribution in the last session, the SDGs don't represent benevolent gifts to working class people and youth. And importantly, is to say that there are actually different meanings and emphasis on what transforming our world, which the SDGs are supposed to be a manifestation, an agenda for, depending on which side of the divide you stand. If you are one of the billionaires transforming our world, it really has no meaning in the way that it means to the immense majority of the population who remain exploited and live from hand to mouth for many. So the trade union movement is committed to deepening the meaning of sustainable development as development that places the people and the planet over profit. And the strategies for this, I would say, can be situated in two broad streams. Uh, Organizing and which rest on organizing power and institutional power. And what do we mean in this sense? First and foremost, the gains that the trade union movement, that the working class movement has been able to win have their roots in our organizing power. Organizing is the concretization of our solidarity. And it is through this that working class people's power is manifested, becomes real. And what that means is that what you had with the expansion of the franchise right, with things like social security eventually coming and being generalized in the immediate post-World War II period, were reforms in response to the rising of working class power by governments across the world. So essentially, organizing power is the roots of, of all power that the trade union movement has. However, there are institutions, and the institutions represent rules and structures of the transmission of power of the bosses of governments. But these are also space for contention. And since institutions entail the rules, we have to fight to influence this. And in the immediate post-war period, when these reforms were given, part of what we had was expansion of the institutional power of the trade union movement. Unfortunately, in a number of instances, you had the trade union movement getting so comfortable with the institutional power and forgetting the primacy of organizing power. And that is very, very important for us to look at how can we take the meaning and the scope of sustainable development beyond what is envisaged in the SDGs, in Agenda 2030. And to do this, let us put in context the emergence of the SDGs themselves. This came out in the wake of the global recession. And what was the global recession? The global recession, more than any other thing, underlined the fact that the existing relations of the economy globally is not sustainable. Neoliberal hegemony was cracked with the global recession. But unfortunately, and I have asked this question time and again, that why is it the current global economic crisis is by far the greatest since after the Great Depression. But in response to the Great Depression, governments made social security a generalizable phenomenon. And why was this? Because of the extent of the demands of the trade union movement. But why is it now that they feel confident enough to tell us that the remedy, the medicine for our malady, for the malady that they have put the entirety of humankind and the planet, is more of the same poison that got us to where we are? It is as a result of limitations of organizing. It is as a result of institutionalization, which we got used to. But the good thing is that by the end of the last century, the organizing sense, a sense of movement struggle re-emerged, to challenge the attacks of neoliberal globalization on the working class movement. This took various forms, including the alter globalization movement, which the trade unions were part of. So now, this was the context of the SDGs. And in looking at this, what have been the strategies that we have been using? These have included policy advocacy within international institutions. These have included organizing and so on and so forth. Now, because of time, let me also point out some of the key things that the trade union movement brings on board to this struggle. It is also that despite the fact that globalization is presented as, the rolling back of the state and all that, no, it is actually strengthening the state, re-regulating on behalf of capital. And what we as the trade union movement, international trade union movement, then do and have to do more of is blending our struggle and policy advocacy at the international level and the regional level and the national level. Our affiliates across the world are in struggles for the right to water, in struggles, the right to health campaign, which we are organizing presently, for example, in struggles for gender equity and so on and so forth, are bringing to bear organizing power along with our policy advocacy to influence the way that states go about delivering a better life for working class people and youth. But beyond that, we have to we cannot rest on our oars with regards to the interpretation that the SDGs give now. Another world is possible. This is not some empty signifier. Now, even more than ever, it is necessary for trade unions and the broader civil society movement to unite together, to fight, to mobilize for democracy from below, to give the meaning and life to social sustainable development that puts people and the planet over profit in a definitive manner, challenges the power of the bosses and transforms the world. Another world indeed is possible, and that requires our concerted struggle. United and determined, we cannot be defeated.